Hello everyone and welcome back to a year in the TikTok of FatFabFeminist. So I'm kind of hoping we can finish this up today, but I don't know how long I'm actually going to be able to record. As I mentioned in the last one, I have a lot going on right now. I don't want to get out of the habit of making these videos because I feel like if I stop even for a while, I'm just not gonna return to it. It's something about habits with me where once a habit falls, it's really hard for me to pick it back up and reestablish it and all that. I'm gonna make this, we're gonna aim for at least an hour. I'd prefer an hour and a half, but I may only be able to get to about an hour of raw recording, and we'll just kind of take things as they go. And unfortunately, I'm only gonna be doing one video a week for May, because it's all I can really handle right now. But without further ado, let's get into FatFabFeminist.
I truly don't care if you think I'm disrespectful or not. My content isn't for you. I make content for fat people. I make content for fat people to feel comfortable and seen. I make content that I needed to see when I was 12 years old. I do not care if you do not like my content. If you don't like it, that means you weren't the target audience. And if you're not the target audience and you're uncomfortable, leave. Go. Not for you. Not my problem, babes. I truly don't care.
So, while I generally think that FatFabFeminist can lean towards rude in her responses, I actually don't have a huge issue with what she says here. I respond and I'm critical of her content. But I also completely understand her perspective of if you don't like it, then don't watch it. I understand that. I comment mostly as in regards to the fat acceptance movement and all those things, but I think I don't know. I don't necessarily have a problem with anyone participating, because as long as you're not being cruel, I don't have a problem with people saying things that they don't like about a person's content in their comments, and then they can respond back like this. I mean, I think everything kind of works, and I kind of understand both sides on this one. So this says something about respectability politics have no hold over me, babes. And I think that is actually a bigger detriment than she realizes. I'm not saying that you have to engage with being super uber respectful of everything, because that can get difficult, and you're never gonna make everyone happy. It's just not gonna happen. You're never gonna make everyone happy. There's a difference though between having a dissenting opinion and just being rude. Granted, it's her page. If she wants to be rude, she can be rude, but then she is going to have the consequences of comments like this. So I guess that's where I fall on it, is that she can say what she wants. She can say this isn't for them. These people can post about how she doesn't handle things well, and it's the nature of social media. I feel like this is a pretty good example of just what social media is.
Which one of you decided to call my mother?
So, for everyone who's wondering, the full part of that was which one of you decided to call my mother and tell her I'm fatphobic, and then FatFabFeminist responds with, in her caption it says, laughs and fat bitch. Here's the thing, FatFabFeminist was one of the ones that blocked me when Fat Sapphic Bro did their whole thing. And what I don't understand is how any of these people can claim that I'm obsessed with them or I'm stalking them, and yet they clearly, she's amused by this and thinks that this is okay. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know what she said or what she did that pissed off the fat acceptance community. But for me personally, I always found that dragging family members into it for an opinion issue sort of thing, I don't know, I feel conflicted, because there are those people that there are these teenagers that or young men in their early to mid 20s or whatever that will harass women in DMs and send dick pics and all that, and then they go to that person's Facebook, find their mother, and send it to them. And I don't know what it is about, that doesn't bother me as much, but I guess it still kind of does now that I think about it. I don't know, I feel I understand to a certain degree, but at the same time, I kind of feel like contacting family members of the people that you have issues with online still feels like it kind of crosses the line. The unsolicited DMs and that realm, I have a little bit less of an issue with it. It was the result of a specific targeted harassment. This was someone who had a clearly very unpopular opinion, and someone contacted their family member, which it feels like it crosses a line. It feels like it crosses a line to me. Maybe I'm curious. I'm curious about your opinions on both, because once I started to examine it, I'm like, well, that's kind of an inconsistency, isn't it? To be okay with the people that are calling out, the men acting bad in DMs and contacting their family members, but then I have a problem with this. So I'm still like, whenever I come across something that's kind of like an inconsistency here, I can't help but I'm gonna have to think about this more to see kind of really where I fall. But I'm curious about your opinions. Where do you fall on this? I think, just looking at this in a microcosm without comparing it to the other things, I do think that this is crossing a line a little bit to contact someone's family member who's online, like to contact them, to put it in their comments in their DMs. It's you went online, you spoke a controversial opinion. I get it. That's kind of the consequence of your actions. I think bringing someone's family into it crosses a line.
Lucky for you, there's a lot of girls plumping themselves up right now, so just being in shape, you're like,
I like
top
it,
30.
Tracy.
There it is. That is why thin women cling to their thinness. They desperately need to believe that their thinness somehow elevates them above everyone else. So at least they're top 30% as long as they're thin. Because if that wasn't a factor, what would their rank be? Where would they fit? How desirable would they be? Because they believe their thinness automatically makes them attractive, meaning they don't have to worry because at least they're better than a fat person like me. And when you challenge that, and when you challenge the idea that thin is beautiful, you are, as a result, challenging their position in the social hierarchy. And that is why they are so scared of fat people loving themselves. Because if being thin is not a requirement to be beautiful, then how do they have the upper hand? They don't, and they're scared.
Lucky for you, there's a lot of girls plumping.
So, again, not super familiar with this woman. Like, I'm hesitant to respond entirely to this because I don't really know the background of all this, of whatever happened in September with this woman, with FatFabFeminist, with the whole FA community. I think that it's a little over redundant to say that this is why all thin women have issues with fat women. I kind of want to just leave this here a little bit and get kind of some thoughts, because I don't have a strong opinion on this. I think, again, there is a little bit of an over redundancy here with her saying, well, if this is why you have a problem with fat women finding themselves beautiful. And it's like, a lot of people don't have issues with fat people finding themselves beautiful. It's the insistence that others find them beautiful, or trying to control other people's behaviors, that I tend to have more of an issue with. I'm curious. I would like your thoughts.
Happy people do not need to build entire platforms based on hating an entire group of people. Like, I don't care what you say. If your entire identity on social media is you hating on a group of people and you have no personality outside of that, there's no way that you can be happy and satisfied with your life. And the projection is just so clear and pathetic. Like, Miss Just Pearly Things, I truly pity her because she's a former fat person. She weighed over 200 pounds. And so when she talks about plus-size people not deserving love, it's very clear that that is the way that she felt about herself. And she was clearly made to feel as though she wasn't worthy of love. And that's really unfortunate. Nobody deserves to feel that way. But that's where my sympathy ends. Because just because you felt unlovable doesn't mean that you're allowed to go around telling people they don't deserve love. Self-hatred is so evident.
Okay, now I really feel like I gotta track down this clip at some point. Maybe do this some point during the summer, because I'm sure FatFabFeminist wasn't the only person that covered this woman. I don't have the time to track it down now, but now I'm really curious. But what's interesting is that I think that some people in the FA community would take the very first part of her video that talk about your entire identity online is hating, except I don't really think I hate the fat acceptance community. I feel like the fat acceptance community often doesn't understand, and I don't know about just pearly things. I don't know what her whole issue is. We're gonna look into that at some point. But because I know that I would be grouped into this, I feel like sometimes the fat acceptance community doesn't understand the difference between actively disliking the entire movement versus being critical of it. I don't hate the fat acceptance community. I think that they get a lot of things wrong. I think that they overshoot in a lot of their things. I do think that they have a couple kernels of merit to their complaints and what they concerns are. I think they have some merit to, especially with like the medical stuff. Again, I just go back to those people that had cancer and the doctor was just like, lose weight and that will fix like the symptoms of the issue, and that wouldn't do that. While also being cognizant that doctors are human and they treat the most likely culprit first, which is why they typically ask you to lose weight. So, I mean, there's just this big push and pull. I think that there are a few topics in the fat acceptance rhetoric that are worth examination. By and large, though, it seems to be more of an issue with insecurities from the FAs and a bit of entitlement. Does that mean I hate them? No. I cover them a lot. Does that mean I hate them? No. I find this whole movement very interesting. I find it very interesting to see a lot of these people. Quite a bit of them are young. But then also, even some of the older FAs, it's kind of interesting to see a bit of a, and this isn't meant as an insult, but I just can't think of a better way to frame it, but kind of a lack of maturity a little bit, in which they're still completely preoccupied with making things other people's faults, rather than this is just the result of our reality right now, and maybe there's things that we can do to change it, maybe there's things that aren't worth doing to change it, maybe you learn to not, you remove the locus of the issue from orbiting around you, and instead see it as kind of a result of our reality and the law of averages. I don't know. Just some things to think on.
I'm sorry, if you're at 300 pounds, you should probably lose weight.
So obviously a lot of us have been talking about this individual, so much so that I've actually seen a lot of my thin mutuals make videos about this person, because all they do is send hatred to fat people. And I don't even want to talk about her anymore, honestly. What I want to say is this is what fat people have to deal with all the time. Like, I'm so grateful for all of my thin mutuals who are like standing up for us. That's very, very kind, and we really appreciate it. But I just want to make it clear that like, this isn't just one person. This is like a former fat person who now hates fat people. And this is the type of mentality that so many of them carry. And this is just the person that's getting the most clout right now. But videos like this are being posted daily, all the time, by dozens of creators. This is what fat people always deal with on the internet.
Okay, so the Stitch from Just Pearly Things was responding to a comment that said, "So you dated a plus-size man but don't like plus-size women? Funny, weird." And her response to that was, "I think if you're 300 pounds, you should probably lose some weight." Again, I feel like I need to look into Just Pearly Things a little bit and get a bit more context, but that what she said right there, just out of the gate, I don't think was wrong. The body isn't really meant to be 300 plus pounds. Like, it can get there, but it's not, our joints and stuff aren't really made to handle that kind of weight for years. I don't think that saying that, I don't think that's an attack on fat people. I think that that's that's a reasonable statement. I think if you're over 300 pounds, you should probably look into losing some weight. I don't see an issue with that on its face. Does she do more insidious things? I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like, I feel like I need to look into just Pearly things a little bit and see if she's just stating things that are like this, where it's like, if you're over 300 pounds, you should probably look into losing some weight, which I think is a fine statement on its face, or if she's a bit crueler. Because the fat acceptance movement and their idea of what is hatred is such a low bar that even a small disagreement could result in you being like a hater. So I'm very curious, and I want to look into her more.
Genuinely, why? Like, literally, what reason do you have to do this? I cannot stress how limited the selection for plus size clothing is in thrift stores, and fat people already struggle so much to find secondhand clothing, affordable clothing. Just amongst ourselves, there is not enough plus size clothing to fit the demand of plus size people shopping. And we also have to compete with thin people doing stuff like this. Truly, what is the reason? You just don't need pants like that. Y'all take plus size clothing and belt it up or cut it up to make it wearable, when you can get that vibe, that aesthetic from any other pair of pants that is actually made for your body type. Everyone gets mad at me when I bring this up, but like, literally, what reason do you have?
It's called thrifting. It's called upcycling. People can take anything that they find at a thrift store and make it to work for them. Maybe he likes the really baggy feel of the pants. Like, I don't understand why that's your business. This is one of those things where it's like, I don't understand why that's your business. Maybe, and it kind of, like, they're like, you're taking choices away from fat people. It depends on, like, I love the lack of understanding of it. There's a difference in, like, geography of where you are. Maybe there's a bunch of larger pants available where they are. And even if there isn't, just because they bought it doesn't mean that if they left it there, a fat person who would fit in those pants would come along and take those pants. There's no guarantee of any of that. That thrift stores are first come, first served for a reason. They're not going to be saved for people that might buy them. That's stupid. If he was able to make it work, then he took the pants. As long as they're, like, wearing the clothes and the clothes aren't just sitting in a closet going to waste. If this comes down to something of, let people live their lives and do what they're going to do. There's no guarantee that a fat person would have gotten those pants. And rather than those pants never getting picked up and then just ending up in a landfill. And the description says, why do you need plus size clothes from a thrift store? What about low income fat people? Like, again, like I said, no guarantee that those low income fat people would go to that particular thrift store within a time frame when those pants would still be available.
No, I'm seeing this again because it has 3 million likes. It's just funny to me because the same people who are liking this video are also always in fat people's comments saying, why are you shopping at Shein? Why are you shopping at this fast fashion brand? Blah, 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 blah. As if we have other options. If you really, you need that look. You need to wear something 10 sizes too big. Fine, whatever. I'm not gonna yuck your fucking yum. But go to Torrid. Go to Walmart. Go buy it from somewhere else. Why do you have to buy it from a thrift store? The stock is so limited. Y'all want to take everything from fat people. Go online. Just not a thrift store. That is the one thing we're asking. 3 million likes. Damn.
Again, they don't go shop at Torrid, they don't go shop at Walmart because, one, they could be low income themselves and the thrift store is cheaper and that's the look that they want and they're the first person there to see it. So they are well within their rights to take it. Number one. Number two, let's say that they can't afford to buy it from somewhere else, but they're trying to reduce the contribution to fast fashion. So they shop at a thrift store. Someone's reasons for shopping at a thrift store, someone's reasons for taking pants several sizes bigger than what they may need to wear, or like, I don't know how to phrase that, is none of your business. This comes down to personal choices. They are fully within their right to go shopping at a thrift store, and you don't know that that's like the only pants in those sizes or anything. Depending on where you are in the US, there could be more like large size clothing at thrift stores. Even thrift store to thrift store, it varies. If you're going to Goodwill, the selection at Goodwill is going to be very different than at a local thrift store. There's a couple of local thrift store. There's like one local thrift store chain, and then a handful of just local thrift stores. Like it's the only one. It's just like a little mom and pop thrift store. It, depending on which one of those you go to, depending on the day, will have a completely different selection of clothing sizes. It's just a matter of opportunity. They were there. They saw them. No one had bought them. No one had it in their cart, so they picked it up. That's what thrifting is. Not every time. It's not going to be a hit every time. And there are people that have to shop for thrifted clothes. And I've seen plenty of them because a local thrift store chain has 99-cent clothes Sundays. And I've gone in there a couple of times to get stuff for like to practice tie-dye and stuff. And it's fucking packed with people of all sizes grabbing up stuff. People will get there like right when it opens and load up a cart. There's plenty of opportunity, and stock rotates, and thrift stores are only going to keep something on the rack for so long. So I think it's just such a non-issue. Quite frankly, I think it's a non-issue to complain about. If you struggle to find clothing in your size, then try a different thrift store.
In the hospital because I twisted my knee, and I've discovered another way that fat phobia impacts my life. So when I hurt my knee, I tried to get a knee brace from like CVS, Walgreens, whatever. They only make knee braces for straight-sized people available in brick-and-mortar stores. Meaning, if I want a knee brace for my knee, I have to go online and wait 2 days. And I'm very privileged in that, like, I was able to come to the hospital. But, like, if that wasn't an option for me, well, I would just have been bedbound for 2 days until the knee brace came. And, like, I don't think y'all realize how large of a population is overweight or obese in the United States. Over 70% of the U.S. is overweight, and 40% is obese. And if you're gonna look at sizes, 2/3 of women in the United States are plus size. Do you think everyone can fit in those fucking knee braces? No. But there is literally one size available of knee braces at CVS, Walgreens, whatever. So at least half the population, if they're ever in an accident or hurt themselves, they don't have access. That's wild.
So again, this comes down to the shops are going to carry what they can sell. This isn't, and honestly, I don't know about you guys, but most of the time, especially depending on the time of year, getting any sort of brace from a Rite Aid or a Walgreens or whatever can be impossible, and you have to buy online anyway. This can just sometimes be something that happens and is a part of life. There have been times when I needed like a wrist guard. I've had issues with like carpal tunnel type symptoms before, and I have like small hands and wrists, and I actually use a size small. I can kind of do a size medium if I need to, but there have been times when only size larges have been available, and it was entirely too big for me, and I had to order online anyway. It sucks, but the good news is that you can just hold on to those knee braces, and then next time it happens, like, as someone who is fairly accident prone, fairly illness prone, like, there are just times when it sucks, and you hold on to the stuff that worked, because it's probably going to rear its ugly head at some point, and at least you have it there for next time. I'm not saying that it doesn't suck. It sucks. But it's not insidious in this thing of, like, trying to keep fat people from aids to help them. They carry what they can sell. Sometimes even what you call straight sizes is still not available at these places. Like, they may not carry something that reaches the area that you're having an issue. Maybe they only have a wrist guard or a knee guard, but no elbow guards, and so you need to get an elbow brace online. Like, it's completely, like, not entirely random, but there are plenty of times when they're just not there, and you have to order online. It sucks. I'm not saying that it doesn't suck, and it sucks that you would, like, be stuck and have to modify your life for a few days until you get it. Like, I'm not saying that that doesn't suck, but that's not necessarily exclusive to fat people.
See, this is where y'all are not understanding the issue. This is not a me problem. This is not an individual issue. This is an issue with the fact that over half of Americans are considered overweight and obese, right? Over half of Americans. Meaning this is not just an individual me issue. This is an issue that impacts millions of Americans. So me losing weight, me in particular, if I lose weight, yeah, sure. Maybe I would be more able to find things that fit me. Maybe I would not have to experience fat phobia. Yeah, whatever. But that doesn't solve the systemic issues at play, right? One individual losing weight will improve their own personal life, yes, but it will not improve the life of all fat people everywhere. Do you understand the issue? Fat people shouldn't have to lose weight in order to gain access to the exact same things that thin people have access to. Individual weight loss doesn't do anything to deal with systemic fat phobia. See, this is where y'all are not.
And this is where I feel like there's a disconnect in what we mean. So, one, you were targeting Walgreens and Rite Aid and, like, the quick stop in and shop. If you had gone into a place that specializes in medical braces and things like that, and you still could not find something for an overweight or obese individual, I still would say that they probably just carry stuff that they can sell, but I can understand a little bit more how frustrating that would be. But ultimately, this comes down to you being outside of the norm. It's not an oppression thing, it's just a logistics thing. It doesn't make sense for, like, I know you say that the majority of people in the US are overweight or obese. Obese, like, I was low-level obese, being at like 186 pounds, and now I'm back in the overweight. So I'm overweight, but I would still fit in a small to medium brace because I've had braces for my elbows and my wrists. My knees might be more in a large category because I have thick-ass thighs, but I would be considered overweight or obese, but I would still fit in any of the straight-sized braces that you mentioned. The issue is that I'm not sure how much you weigh, but I'm going to say in the 300-pound-ish range. I think that there's probably a much smaller group of people that are that obese. And let's not forget that obesity comes in degrees, because you're like, there's so many people that are overweight or obese. Braces still fit those that are overweight or obese. The straight-sized braces still fit those that are overweight or obese. The fact that even when I was obese, in the obese range, and I'm still, like, pretty close to that, because I'm losing weight slowly, but I'm still fairly close to that, and I could still wear a size small on my wrist. I can still wear, like, a size small to a medium on my elbow, and a medium to large on my knee. Like, it's, even if you are in the overweight or obese range, that doesn't prohibit you from those straight size braces that you are talking about. It's probably when you get to, like, the morbidly obese range, or at the very least, like, obesity level 2, that it's more of an issue. And if you took all of the general size of the US and removed those from the overweight and obese one that could probably fit into those straight sizes a little bit better, the number of people that would need those extended or plus size braces would be far lower, and therefore it explains a little bit more the lack of access to, like, the extended sizes for braces. So this is not a matter of, in this case, yes, losing weight would help you, and this isn't necessarily a systemic issue, because it's not that you can't get them. It's just that it's not convenient to get them.
Yeah. Yeah, read this. What have we been saying? Y'all love to blame fat people for their weight and for their health and for all of the issues that come with being fat. When fat people have been saying for so long that an individual's weight is not just determined by what they eat. There are so many factors that go into people's weights. But it is so much easier to blame individuals than it is to take a look at the systemic issues that we have in this country and address those. Y'all will call fat people lazy and disgusting and blame us for every experience that we have instead of actually considering, hey, maybe millions and millions and millions of people in this country are fat for a reason. Maybe there's a reason. None of the fat people should have to justify their existence, but there are just so many factors in play with individuals' weights and health, and y'all minimize something that it cannot be minimized to. Yeah.
Okay, but this is not... I don't know what study this is, but even we'll just take the blurb on its head, okay? Researchers who study type 2 diabetes have reached a stark conclusion. There is no device or drug powerful enough to counter the effects of poverty, pollution, stress, a broken food system, cities that aren't walkable, and inequitable access to healthcare. That is not saying that it is completely outside the control of someone to make healthier choices. It's saying that no device or drug is powerful enough to counter the effects of poverty and inequitable healthcare status that those people can't even get their medication for. The broken food system that does make it more difficult to get healthier and low sugar options. Pollution and stress, which is its own issue. Walkable cities, so that way people can get exercise without having to spend money. There's still ways to do these things, and there's still a level that you can do to help reduce your risk of diabetes. You can still do it. It's just there is no drug that can counteract all the other things. And I'm not going to say I disagree with... I think all these things do need to be treated. But that's not saying that people are completely absolved of any contribution they make to raising their risk of getting diabetes. You can still make better health choices. You can still not eat as much or eat as often. You can still march in place at home. Like, it's not as easy as if you had better access to things. And particularly the poverty, the broken food system, and the inequitable access to healthcare are major players in someone's ability to keep their diabetes under control or to enter remission of like pre-diabetes or even early diabetes. While those are definitely contributing factors, it is not to say that you hold no responsibility. There's more at play here, for sure, but you are not completely absolved of responsibility in saying that, oh, you can be as fat as you want and eat shit all you want, and it's everyone else's fault if you get diabetes. Like, I see what she's saying here, but I think that I get the feeling like it's not because of what I eat. It's not because I don't exercise. It's all these other things that make it impossible for me to make, good health choices. Like, it definitely makes it harder. I'm not saying that it doesn't make it harder. But that's not the same as being absolved of any responsibility,
And I'm fat, but I don't perceive myself as fat. Did that solve the problem? Are my doctors gonna believe me now? Can I go to the mall and find clothes? No? That's weird. Guess my perception of myself isn't that important. Guess my perception of myself doesn't determine reality. Crazy.
So this person had given her a comment of, I'm skinny, but I don't perceive myself as skinny. The doctor thing I'm going to put aside, because the whole medical thing I have more complex feelings around. But does that mean I'm going to find clothes in my size? Honey, they dress the average. If you are so far outside the average that you can't fit into something in the store, then yeah, sorry, but that's more of a personal choice issue. I do still think that. And yeah, it doesn't change reality, but I think, again, there's this ignoring of what's skinny in one place geographically would not necessarily be skinny in another. So to say someone is objectively skinny, I think completely ignores differences based on geographically where you are. I think the whole conversation, though, is a little, for lack of a better term, dumb. Like, there's so many other things to argue. I don't really understand the point of the comment to begin with. But, I don't know. There's just something about this that rubbed me the wrong way.
Thin people don't have to deal with systemic fat phobia. We all continuously feel the need to compare your experiences to ours when they're not comparable. I will concede the fact that there are struggles to growing up with any body type, and nobody likes feeling made fun of or bullied for their body type. That I completely agree with. But when fat people talk about fat phobia, we're talking about the systemic oppression that fat people face. We live in a world that is not meant for fat people. If you're a fat person, going to school, going to work, going to the hospital, you are going to face difficulties that thin people will not have to face. For example, just for something as simple as school, attending my lectures, a lot of the lectures that I attended had half desks, so I couldn't always fit in them. Do you know how frustrating it is to just have to make accommodations to be able to fit in a desk? Those classrooms are literally not meant for someone of my body size. Going to the doctor, my concerns are dismissed, and I'm just told to lose weight regardless of what's going on with me. Fat people can't go into stores and buy clothing. Fat people are reminded every day we're not welcome in the world. Thin people.
Alright, so she's responding to a comment that says, being skinny isn't easy either. Everyone has their experiences. You can't say you felt worse or that it's not as bad as me. That's not right. And and given that this is played with a song underneath of the Fat Funny Friend song, I think is telling, because remember that whole thing, that whole series of videos we went over of her trying to, like, putting forth that essentially being fat was one of the hardest experiences you could go through as an adolescent. Completely ignoring that adolescence is just fucking hard for everyone. And even if the person isn't fat, there's plenty of other shit that they could be insecure about and that they could want to mutilate their body over. The thing over fitting into desks. Have you, like, schools in general just don't renovate very often. These seats are based on what would fit the average person at a minimum 50 years ago, if not more. I mean, some of these are ancient. And depending on your major, your department probably doesn't get as much funding as some of the others. If you weren't in a STEM field, you were dealing with classes that were really fucking old and desks that were ancient. And I was an English major. All of the rooms that had English classes in them, we didn't even get our own building. We had to share our building with the gender studies people. And all of the classrooms that we had the English majors had theirs in, we didn't have like the new desks or the new tables or anything like that were far more comfortable and allow you to spread out your stuff a bit more. We had the fucking ancient chairs with the desk attachment that could only hold one book. Like, when I attended my Shakespeare class, that was your only option for chairs. And you had to set down this big ass book and also set your notebook on top of that, and you were constantly, like, it was a juggling act every class for everyone. It was uncomfortable, even though, like, I could comfortably fit in the chair and everything. The chairs were uncomfortable. Everything, depending on your department, like, you get the leftovers sometimes. This isn't necessarily a matter of, it's fat people aren't wanted. If you had a major that was not STEM and was not related to sports in any way, you got the leftovers. You got the leftovers of what they had available in the school. That's not even a matter of, like, fat phobia or against fat people in particular. It's probably, quite frankly, the major you chose, and I don't mean that to be derogatory towards anyone who was in a humanities major. I was in a humanities major. I was a fucking mistake, but I was a humanities major. And, like, you get the shit. I'm sorry, but you do. You get the shitty chairs, you get the shitty desks, you get the classrooms where the floor hasn't been swept or mopped in like 5 years, and you can see like your shoes will actually leave prints on the floor, and there's stickiness around for no fucking reason, and so you start keeping alcohol wipes with you to wipe shit down. It's not a matter. Given FatFabFeminist and what she covers, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what her major was, but I don't get the feeling that it was a STEM field. So she probably was in a major that wasn't given much funding, and so she was dealing with like this shitty version of everything. And that's not necessarily in regards to her being fat. It's probably more in regards to her being a humanities major, if she was one. Even social science majors don't get that great of accommodations. If you're not like in the hard sciences, or something like sports medicine or something, which actually would still be in the hard sciences, but you know what I mean. If you aren't in that realm, you just didn't get great options for seating or anything.
Okay, and why is being unhealthy a bad thing? Why do y'all attach morals to health? Why do y'all inherently think that being unhealthy means that you're a bad person, means that you're doing something wrong? I'm not gonna sit here and debate with you and say, well, not all fat people are unhealthy, because that shouldn't fucking matter. Someone's health should not matter. It is not your business whether or not someone is healthy, and you should still treat them like a person, regardless of their health. Y'all assume that people who are fat are inherently unhealthy, and you view people who are inherently unhealthy negatively, as if they've had some moral failing. And that's simply not the case. Why do y'all think that someone needs to be healthy to be treated like a person? Those ideas are rooted in eugenics. Maybe rethink. Okay.
So again, someone had mentioned something in regards to like this kind of argument around disability, and they resented that the disability was equated with unhealthiness when someone can be disabled but still be healthy. And I agreed with that. I agree with that, and I think it comes back to this, where I feel like she's probably conflating healthy and unhealthy with chronic illness. And I don't really like grouping people with chronic illnesses as unhealthy, because to me, healthy and unhealthy were about personal lifestyle choices, not about things that were outside of your control. If you have MS or rheumatoid arthritis or any level of chronic illnesses, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy. It means you have a chronic illness. You can have these chronic illnesses and still be healthy, still do some level of activity, still eat healthy, still do things that are health promoting behaviors that would lead you. I feel like the unhealthy thing is their way of grouping themselves in with the disability rights people, in that they're trying to align, like, if they have a disability or mobility issues because they're fat, then that's the same as having like the disability of you're in a wheelchair or something, which means that you're unhealthy, which means you can't put a moral value on being healthy or unhealthy, because then you are also judging the person in the wheelchair, which isn't true. Like, it feels like it's this game that's being played to avoid responsibility for the choices that they make. That's my view on it. And this is something I would actually really like your guys' opinion on. If you're worried about, you're like, well, at least you're healthy, what are you thinking about when you're talking about someone being healthy versus being unhealthy? And do you think there is a moral imperative behind those? And if there is a moral imperative behind those, where does chronic illness fit on this spectrum? I'm very curious, because I like to say that healthy and unhealthy is outside of illnesses that you don't have any control over. And it's more of a talk of, lifestyle habits and choices that you're making. But I realize also that I tend to have, I often have unusual takes on things. Maybe not on this channel. I don't know where, like, my normalcy rating would be with my takes. Just in general in life, I've been told that I come at things from a usual perspective a lot of the time. So I'm curious what your perspective is on this.
I can go into heavy detail about all the diets I've been on, all the times I've tried to lose weight, but none of that matters. The simple answer is I shouldn't have to. My body isn't your business. Your opinion on my body doesn't matter. Regardless of a person's weight, you should treat them like a person. It's that simple.
Okay, so they're responding to a comment that says, okay, question, why not try and lose weight? It's hard for everyone, and I don't think you need to be skinny, but you can try and lose a little. So she talks about all the diets that she's been on. One, that's your issue right there. What did you do? Atkins and Weight Watchers and all of that. That works for some people. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but in general, it's probably better to just work on making healthier choices and eating less. That's, it's a I'm very much on the lifestyle change versus diet. Lifestyle changes tend to be more sustainable. It's a lot slower in weight loss, but it's more sustainable that way. You shouldn't have to. No one's saying that you have to. You're talking about issues that seem to be connected to your weight a lot of the time. And it could be resolved if you lost some weight. Again, like, you don't have to be skinny, just maybe lower so you're not morbidly obese and can fit within the average. And this whole, you don't have to be seen to be treated like a person. No one's saying that. And I think that a lot of the fat acceptance people's perspective on what being treated like a person is often more than just being treated like a person. I think there's a level of entitlement that's usually wrapped up in that as well. I really wish sometimes that these people would define what they mean by being treated like a person. Like, define it. Give me some examples. Because I'm curious as to what they think, like, skinny people get versus what they don't get. Like, I'm really curious to see, like, what do you think that you get what do you think that skinny people get that you are being denied, apart from, like, options in fashion or the convenience of braces? Because it's not that they didn't make the braces, they just weren't conveniently available.
Okay, this is my new series called Is It a Fit or Is She Fat? Because for so long,
I am starting to feel like I'm insane. Because there's no way this many of you could be so out of touch. You're a size large. A size large. That is straight size. What do you mean, is it a fit or is she fat? Do you shop at Torrid? Are you a plus size person? No! There is not one store that does not cater to your body type. Just because a large fits a little bit snug on you does not mean that you are a marginalized person. I understand that growing up with fatphobic media has caused you all to have body image issues and to perceive yourself in a way that is negative towards your body. But you still exist in a straight-sized body. Anyways, here's an actual plus-size person who's been doing this series.
So, someone in her comments says, I'm so confused about her concept. I'm a bit confused about her concept as well, but that's kind of beside the point of what I want to talk about. I understand how this girl views herself as fat. I think that this particular thing that she was wearing wasn't flattering on her. Let's see if someone can give us. The basic idea was that, is this a good outfit, or does her being curvy make it look amazing? Confusingly, yeah, that is confusingly named. But no one's claiming marginalization in this. I didn't get that feeling from her at all, and I think this goes to show how your perceived oppression due to fatness has kind of consumed your view on people that view themselves as fat or whatever. When someone says I feel fat, or someone thinks that they look fat or whatever, they're not trying to claim marginalization, like, away from you or anything. People can think that they're fat without tying some sort of oppression to it. That was something that I noticed that was really interesting. No, I didn't get the feeling that she was saying she was marginalized at all. So we didn't get nearly as far through FatFabFeminist as I wanted to, but I am reaching the limit of my time. We are at 58 minutes, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about my life, and then we're going to sign off here because I don't have the time to do this anymore, unfortunately, today. So, a couple things. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm really swamped with work, so we're looking at like one video a week right now. And mostly that's because I'm trying to stay in the habit, because I know if I fall outside of the habit, I'm going to have a hard time picking this back up. So we're only going to do one video a week, about an hour, and at least until I'm done with this quarter, which should be about at the end of the first week of June-ish. For now, we're just going to be covering FatFabFeminist. My hope is to finish her by the time I'm done with this quarter in my schooling. So that way we can start summer with more variety. And mostly that, and because I find FatFabFeminist easier to cover because it seems a lot more in her, just about her insecurities and how that's overprojected rather than like medical misinformation and stuff like that. So I find her a little bit easier to cover. For my personal life, I was hoping to have I finished Cafe Enchanté a while ago, but I haven't been able to edit the videos or put them up at all. Although I think most people aren't really looking at my Dumping Ground channel, which is fine. I want to be clear. I don't expect anyone to watch. So it just kind of, I was like, oh, that's too bad that I haven't gotten that done yet. What I had wanted to do also was I have several Steam Otome games, and I wanted to do Let's Plays of them. I don't have that time right now. I have this whole, like, reading a series light novel, a Korean light novel that I was going to do. I have several parts recorded. I haven't been able to edit them. So all of my projects have been, like, way pushed back. I'm so disappointed. As for weight loss, I've been hovering around 181, which is good for me because I haven't been able to exercise for like the past week and a half because I've been recovering from the flu, which has been really annoying. And yeah, there's not a whole lot going on right now other than me just trying to keep my head above water with all of my stuff. I am starting to apply to jobs now, so wish me luck, please. And that's about where we are right now. So I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for watching. Sorry about the less content for the next month, but I appreciate everyone who's understanding, and I will see you next time. Take care of yourselves.